very receptive Rotary Club talks, I found out that, it's about one-third. So let's take a poll. How many of you think that is naive and good luck? Why are you beating your head against the wall? Show of hands. Ending war or preventing all war by 2030, that's only 5 years, is like, why are you wasting your time? How many of you think, tell me more? Stay for the next speaker. How many of you think or would say, how can I help? Whoa, I am encouraged. But sometimes this goal, especially as the calendar moves in the 5 years, it's only 5 years now, you get kind of hopeless, especially with events in the press and everything. And then I met our speaker. His goal was peace on Earth by 2030, moonshot. Moonshot. That caught my attention. We were all there for the moonshot, remember? And I met David Gershon, our next speaker, about a year ago. I took the peace game. Please download this. We have a special version for the convention, only 5 peace actions, 1 for each day of the. So please try to get it on your phone, sign up, and do a peace action. And it will show up on this monitor right here. How many people, how many actions, how many cities, how many countries. We have a live dash right here. So I took the peace game and got to know David. It's the first time at this Calgary I've ever hugged him. First time I met him in the flesh. But working with him the past 6 or 8 months, we've developed this idea of the Oregon Peace Trail. I hope David, you mentioned the Oregon Peace Trail. It's new to Oregon, but it's not a unique idea. You've got the Camino de Santiago in Spain, you've got the Gandhi Trail in India, and these are cropping up all over, and it could be a project for us. The idea is to connect people in times of division, connect Rotary clubs, connect districts, all of the above. I'm not going to take any more of David's time, but I encourage you to move from, that's a pipe dream, to, tell me more. The founder of, not only the Empowerment Institute and the Moonshot, but he organized the torch event in the Lake Placid Olympics in 1980. In 1986, he organized the first Earth run of a torch around the Earth in 86 days. He is a master organizer, and he is a master on empowerment. And so taking the peace game will start with you and reach out to community. For more details about the peace game, please welcome David Gershon. Testing.
You got the voice out. So, okay, perfect. Al, thank you. You are my champion and my hero. And I'm here because of you and you. My first Rotary meeting. And I am so happy to be here. I'm not a Rotarian. I am a Rotary booster. And wherever I go around the world, I say the same thing. Rotary is the place to be if you want to change the world. And I am thrilled to be with you. So I want to talk about changing the world. Anyone interested in learning how? So let's learn. So the idea is a moonshot. So how many of you followed the moonshot in 1969? So we did something that seemed impossible. In 1962, when Kennedy said we could put a man on the moon and get him back by the end of the decade, people wondered if that was even remotely possible. We had barely cracked getting into space. So moonshots are not for the faint of heart. And I'm not faint of heart, so I'm going after a big idea. So what is required for a moonshot? It needs audacity, a willingness to dream big dreams that people can't imagine being possible, and really live into that and invite others into that. It requires tenacity. And I will tell you, I've been working on this for a long time. As Al mentioned, in 1986, we passed the torch of peace around the world for 86 days, and we saw peace on earth for 86 days. Wherever the torch went, war stopped. The world was united as one, and I saw that the possibility of something remarkable was available to us if we went for it. And it requires imagination. Imagine peace on earth by 2030. Let me explain what I mean by that. It's not perfection. The world will not be utopia, but we will have a culture of peace. We will learn how to live in right relationship with one another, with the earth, with our fellow human beings, in our communities. And I'll explain how we intend to do that. So, this is the plan. That's the backstory. The building blocks of this is that we've learned how to do moonshot thinking, global mobilization, and impact at scale. So the core strategy is based on three key ideas. Empower individuals to change their behaviors and their lifestyle practices, such, not lifestyle, but their day-to-day behaviors in such a way that they move into an ability to live in harmony with self, each other, and the earth. I've spent decades learning how to do that. It's not hard to do because you get people to do what they want to do, and then they just start to see the impact over time. So learning how to live in right relationship with ourselves, learning how to be able to do that in a community where you scale up the peace game. So changing ourselves, changing our communities, and ultimately then building a global movement around it. That's the three core ideas which I'll unpack with you. Rotary does that. You all work as individuals, you move your ideas into communities, and you have impact at scale by collecting all your efforts, and you have global impact. So this is very aligned, which is why I'm here to invite you to join the Moonshot. So, the Peace Game. This is about shifting hearts and minds. And fundamentally, it is about learning how to build a set of practices in our life. Let me go through the practices. There are 7. When we did the first Earth Run, what we learned was that these were the 7 things that enabled peace on Earth for 86 days. Empowerment. We learned how to engage people to believe in a vision, go after the vision, apply that vision. So the first action is about building one's agency. Then we move into the peace-building actions, which are oneness, unity, and cooperation. Oneness is learning how to befriend those people that we would not normally talk to because they are different from us in some way or other. Unity is around finding that which we share in common with one another and celebrating it. And cooperation is learning how to find that which we can cooperate with others around. Rotary clubs do that beautifully to create change. So those are the peace-building actions. Then we move into the field-building actions. Abundance is about giving your time or money to organizations furthering oneness, unity, and cooperation, peace. The love action, meaning agape love, the Greek term for love of humanity, is about praying for, visualizing, and believing peace on earth is possible. And the last action is on faith. Al was asking a question that ultimately was about faith. Is it possible? Is it possible to create a vision that's so far from where we are right now? One has to have faith. So when you play the peace game, you get that faith. You Because you see these actions, if you can imagine them at scale, we can make change happen. It's also about engaging other people to play. So those are the actions. Right now, we've had 3,000 people, not counting this conference. If we count this conference, make it 4,000, who have taken some 70,000 peace actions. They have done this across 67 countries and 608 cities. So how many cities are there that Rotary is involved in? Anyone know that number? How many countries? 200. So I'll tell you how many cities there are on the planet. 10,000. So our vision is to get Rotary peace zones, which skill up the peace game in every Rotary city. That's where we're going. So peace zones is the next step. I've spent many decades, over 200 cities I've worked in, and what I've seen is that there are ways to empower people who want to create a better city. And the simple way is getting them to see how to increase community well-being. A peace zone creates community well-being based on these practices. So, the 7 practices scale up, and that makes a peace zone. So our goal is 10,000 by the year 2030. Now you start to see the beginning of the how that builds a little more confidence under Al's vision of the castle in the sky and my castle in the sky. How do you do that? Well, peace zones is the way. We've been doing this now for some time, and these peace zones are quite achievable. They tip the peace actions into new societal norms. It is not just a peace zone with this aspirational idea. It's new ways of interacting with one another based on oneness, unity, and cooperation. That's what a peace zone does. You get enough of those, you start shifting societal norms. Our institute, who's been at this for some 40 years, will be building the training capacity, resourcing it in various ways, including seed capital, and a lot of training. So we have a mechanism for building this. The last part of the strategy is building a global movement around a shared vision. And the shared vision that we want to ignite is peace on earth by 2030. A new idea for humanity. That's the vision. And we want to do that through storytelling, through media. We have many, many partners that are involved with this who are going to help us tell that story. We have a feature film coming out next year, which tells the story of the first Earth Run, which we hope will inspire people to believe in the possibility of this. We will be having annual torch relay events every Peace Day from 26 to 30. We have the Oregon Peace Trail and many other trails that are going to be following up on that across the Independence Peace Trail, the Great Peacemaker Peace Trail in central New York. So these are ways to play the peace game, and so we have many, many different ways to tell the story. And strategic partnerships. As I mentioned, we have 70 now, and Rotary is, of course, one of our key strategic partners. We have the African Union that wants to bring this across Africa, and many other partners in the making. So, when you put all this together, 40 million people is a tipping point. That's 1/2 of 1%. That's the number by which you start to get new consciousness shifting. You get 40 million people believing in an idea, accepting an idea, and that's a tipping point. 1/2 of 1% of humanity. That, along with the 10,000 peace zones, become the 2 tipping points. That's our vision. And here's the big ask of you and us. I was just speaking with someone, and he said, there's not actually 46,000 Rotary clubs. There's 36,000. 46,000 if you include some of the interactor clubs and so on. So 36,000 peace clubs. We would like 1/3 of them to be peace zones. What does that mean if there are 10,000 peace zones coming out of Rotary? What do you think that means? Anybody? It means Rotary can create peace on earth. Rotary. The people in this room, in this convention, have the means, if they said yes, to create peace on earth. That's a big idea. How many people have come knocking on your door that said your institution that has spent 120 years preparing for this moment could actually tip peace on earth? That's the dream, and that's the invitation. And we are really going for it, and we really truly hope you say yes and be part of this vision. So, let's talk about the Peace Game. So we built, based on Al's invitation, a Rotary version of the Peace Game. You've already downloaded, at least the QR code, so that we've made the experience of being at the convention an experience of creating peace, literally. And 1,000 actions have been taken just over the last day. So let me tell you about that. It's fun, it's inspiring, it's simple to use. You download the app, you sign in, and you're in. These are the actions. So the oneness action is about meeting other Rotarians, taking a selfie, and getting to know each other. Anyone like to meet Rotarians at this convention? So you're in. Just keep track of it, and you're already playing the peace game. That's the befriending the other. The unity action is reaching out to people in any other. How many different countries do you think there are here? How many? 140 countries here?
Yes.
So 140 new countries that you get to speak to. That's the second action. The third action is on cooperation, meeting other Rotarians and asking what they're doing and looking how you can cooperate together. They help what you're doing, you help what they're doing. The abundance action is finding some Rotary clubs that you're inspired by and giving your time or your money to it. That's the abundance action. And the love action is praying for peace in the world. There are some places that might benefit from your prayers these days. So finding those, that's the peace game in Rotary land. Wrong way. So that's the game board. We keep score. Right over here. You can see how you're doing. This is not real time. That one is. That's the app to download. If you've not taken a picture, take it now. So, final thoughts. How many people believe peace on earth by 2030 is more possible now than before I spoke? Okay. What do you think it takes from you to do this? You gotta do something. Not just sit here, you gotta do something. If enough of you did something, we can make something remarkable happen. And what does it look like? A thriving, dynamic state of individual and community well-being. It's not about ending war. That comes with the territory. Yes, that will occur. It may not be 100%, but if we change the culture, if we get people moving towards that well-being state, at an individual and community level, which is what the peace game, the peace zones do, that's what this looks like. And if enough people in communities say yes, it happens. Rotary can change the world. You're already doing that. I hope you step up to this next level and join this movement. Thank you.
I was going to ask that very question. How many of you would repeat, feel more hopeful now than 20 minutes ago? Isn't that great? I mean, really, we gain inspiration and hope from each other. So that's the beauty of the Rotary family. David has to go right now to the opening session. I insisted that he see the opening session, his first convention. I hope you'll understand and agree. But you will be at a kiosk when?
I'm going to be around over the next day, so do find me. And you can also go to peace2030.earth. That's our website, and you can also contact me that way. But I'll be around, so just reach out if you wish. Thank you.
Thank you very much for your attention and help.
My first one was still trialing. Yeah. Not good. Laura.
Oh, hi! How are you? Good. How'd you end up last night?
Good. We went back to our place. We're gonna go swim, drink, chat, and swim.
It's nice to see you.
Yeah, you too. Yeah.
Oh, how are you feeling today?
Yes. Yeah. Yeah. Great day.
Oh, that's good.
How'd you learn how to make peace cream? They have instructions.
I still can't do it.
go, guy.
Dearest
Yeah,
Steve
I
Rotarians, I want to thank you for being here. Think of all the problems you had to overcome to make it, airplane tickets, etc. And I know you're saying, now why did I come all that way? Well, here's the reason. Sam Daly Harris. I know from the experience that we can do better. Now I know you're all equated with great things. But if you take your time and listen to Sam Daly Harris, you will become transformational. You will not just say the words, but you will expect the results from what you're saying. And Sam Daly Harris wrote a book. And he's going to tell you what the name of the book is. So don't leave until you hear that. Because chapter 21 changed my life. And I've been in Rotary for a long time. I'm one of the first women invited to the Hollywood Rotary Club when Sylvia Whitlock got us in. And so with that, I'm Barbara Kahn Mueller, president of the Rotary E-Club of World Peace, past president, founder, peacepodcast.org. But Sam Daly Harris changed my life when I realized what I say can't make a difference on the planet. And I've been saying, I'm a Rotarian, and I am working for peace. So Sam Daly Harris, teach us how to do it. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you, Barbara. Welcome to everyone. I'm going to start with a quote that's super relevant in this moment. It's from Republican Senator Mark Hatfield of Oregon, and he said this in an op-ed in the Oregonian in 1982. This is what Hatfield said: "We stand by as children starve by the millions because we lack the will to eliminate hunger. Yet we have found the will to develop missiles capable of flying over the polar cap and landing within a few hundred feet of their target. This is not innovation. It is a profound distortion of humanity's purpose on Earth. And I thank you for your commitment to correcting that distortion of humanity's purpose on Earth." Just days after the November election in the United States, I sent a letter, an email, to hundreds of journalists. And I want to read a little excerpt from that email. And I think it's relevant not only in the U.S. This is what I wrote them. For many Americans, the November election delivered exhaustion and divisiveness. After the election, Tom Nichols wrote in The Atlantic, "Americans must stay engaged to make their voices heard at every turn." Liz Cheney tweeted, "Citizens across this country must now be the guardrails of democracy." But most Americans and most people still wonder how and even if they can make a difference between elections. What are the options? Protesting? That's important, but we need people to go inside and make relationships happen. 2, signing email form letters, which only 3% of congressional staff is highly effective. 3, taking a 2-year nap until the next election. Sadly, the choice of many. But few in your audience, I wrote the journalists, know about number 4, transformational advocacy, where you work to change an issue and you are changed in the process. The book that I'm talking about includes stories of ordinary citizens who did extraordinary things. People like Ellie Sparks, who went from experiencing what she called climate trauma and then meeting with her members of Congress and calling the experience sacred and profound. And people like Lisa Jordan, who after meeting with congressional offices in Washington, D.C. said, "This work is the best medicine for when you're feeling hopeless or have sleepless nights. It's the best way to avoid despair." Both Ellie and Lisa were talking about their experience with transformational advocacy, the focus of this presentation. In my remarks, I'll provide a powerful way to make a difference and heal our democracies in the process. It's not the only solution needed, but it's one essential missing piece: citizens awakening to their power. I'm going to begin this section with my story of self. Marshall Gans, professor at Harvard, developed the story of self, which basically asks, what happened in your life and what decisions did you make that got you to this commitment? So when I tell my story of self, I urge you to think about yours. What happened in your life and what commitments did you make that got you to this commitment to peace? Here's mine. I have a bachelor's degree and a master's degree in music, and I played percussion instruments in the Miami Philharmonic Orchestra for 12 years and taught high school music. And then 45 years ago, I founded the Anti-Poverty Lobby. Results, and a lot of times I'm asked, music, poverty lobby, what's the connection? And when I look back in my life, certain experiences start pointing me in a different direction. The death of a friend around high school graduation in 1964 and the assassination of U.S. Senator Robert Kennedy around college graduation in 1968 got me to asking the questions of purpose. Why am I here? What am I here to do? What's my purpose? 9 years later, 1977, I'm invited to a presentation on ending world hunger put on by the Hunger Project. And I go to this event thinking, well, hunger's inevitable. What do I know? I'm a musician. I mean, I'm thinking it's inevitable because there must be no solutions. Again, what do I know? Because I'm thinking if there were solutions, somebody would have done something by now. But I go to this event, and it's obvious right away. There's no mystery to growing food, clean water, basic health, literacy. I'm not hopeless about the perceived lack of solutions. I'm hopeless about human nature. People will just never get around to doing the things that can be done. But there's one human nature I have some control over, my own, and my questions: why am I here? What am I here to do? So I get involved in a big way. This is the end of the story. In 1978 and 1979, I spoke to 7,000 high school students, classroom by classroom, on ending world hunger. And before I went into the first classroom, I read some statements from Jimmy Carter's Commission on World Hunger calling for the political will to end hunger. So I asked 7,000 students, what's the name of your member of Congress? I don't want to know if you wrote him. I don't want to know if you met him. Just the name. Out of 7,000, does anyone want to guess? Out of 7,000, the number that could tell me the name? 0, 2, 200. Fewer than 3% could answer correctly. 6,800, over 97%, could not tell me. And the anti-poverty lobby results grew out of this gap between the calls for the political will to end hunger on the one hand and the lack of basic information on who represented us in Washington on the other. And so that's where we began to develop this transformational advocacy. I want to share this story. A year ago, I was interviewed in the United States on a national public radio show called 1A. And this was question number 2. And I was really moved how vulnerable the interviewer was. In his question, he said, the passive nature to our politics now, you can feel beat down by it. I mean, this is my career, and I feel beat. This is on the national radio. He says, this is my career, and I feel beat down by it. It's much more of an effort for me. I don't participate in the same way others do because I'm a political journalist, but I do have to pay attention. It's a grind. It's a grind, Sam. I mean, I know you know that. What am I feeling? What's the way out of that? That was the second question. The first thing I said to him was, Apollo astronaut Rusty Schweikert said, "We aren't passengers on Spaceship Earth, we're the crew." Well, are we? And if we're crew, how does crew operate? The second thing I said was, futurist and climate activist Alex Steffen said, in fact, these days, cynicism is obedience. Yeah, if I'm cynical, I'm obedient to the way things are. I'm not going to do anything about it. Why would I if nothing I do makes a difference? So the talk is focused on transformational advocacy, not transactional, sign the petition, transaction complete, but transformational advocacy where you're trained, encouraged, and succeed at doing things as an advocate you never thought you could do, like meet with a member of Congress and bring them on board to your issue or your member of parliament. And when you do that, you see yourself differently. That's the transformation in how you see yourself. At the end of the talk, I'm going to pass out the sign-up sheet for anyone who might want to take another step. And one of the options is joining my Civic Courage mailing list. Another is being connected with an organization that works to deliver transformational advocacy. And another, it might be having me speak to your Rotary Club, or to your place of worship, or to a class you teach, or something like that. I'm going to go through a couple of these stories very quickly. This is Maxine Thomas and her U.S. Senator Todd Young, Republican of Indiana. And Maxine said to me, "I had a heart for service, but I was clueless about advocacy, especially political advocacy." Then she joins Results and she gets training and she has a meeting, first ever meetings with her members of Congress. And Maxine says, after the meetings, she said, "I was euphoric. I was on this high and felt I was part of something revolutionary. From I was clueless to I was euphoric." That's transformational advocacy. So how do you find an organization that works to deliver transformational advocacy? I point to three things. One, recruitment and community building. The organization brings new people in, not just to build an e-blast list recruitment, but to form them into local chapters so they're not working alone. And the community building might include a whole of organization monthly webinar with guest speakers and Q&A and inspiration. One, recruitment and community building. Two, training. How do you get the meeting with the elected official? How do you plan for the meeting? What do you ask for in the meeting? How do you write a letter to the editor? How do you write an op-ed? Two, training. Three, breakthroughs. The organization encourages its members to do things they never thought they could do. And as a result, have breakthroughs. There's this drawing of a small circle labeled your comfort zone and a much larger circle labeled where the magic happens. So that's what you're looking for. So how has this affected anything? I mean, people are changing, but are any issues changing? Results started lobbying in the early 80s, and UNICEF, the UN Children's Fund, reported in the early 80s 40,000 children around the world were dying every day from preventable malnutrition and disease, things like measles, coupled with malnutrition. And over the last 40 years, Results has advocated on this, and the global child death rate has fallen by 66% from 40,000 a day in the early 80s to 13,800 in 2021. And so here's some evidence that ordinary citizen volunteer advocates made a difference. In 1986, Results volunteers generated 90 editorials in newspapers around the U.S. calling for a tripling of the Child Survival Fund. And after that campaign was over, the head of UNICEF, Jim Grant, sent a handwritten note where he wrote, I thank you in my mind at least weekly, if not more often, for what you and your colleagues are accomplishing, but I thought I should do it at least once this year in writing. And then 36 years later, in 2022, Peter Sands, the head of the Global Fund to Fight AIDS, Tuberculosis, and Malaria, said this on a national webinar of results. He said, I know how powerful your voices are and your efforts are. We see that in the way you go up on Capitol Hill and talk to people from both sides of the aisle. They're hearing from across North America that you care about this. This is one of the most powerful ways in which America leads the world. Now, of course, we're in a whole other level of turmoil at this moment, but this is up to a certain point. I'm going to make this short. This is Margaret Smith of Dallas, Texas. She's there with her U.S. Senator Ted Cruz, Republican of Texas, and she said to me, I learned in results that I hold Senator Cruz's hands with 2 hands, and I don't let go until I finish my laser talk on the Global Fund to Fight AIDS, Tuberculosis, and Malaria. That was 2019. It was the first year he ever said yes to one of their requests. This last story, and a quote. Last story and a quote. Okay, so this is Ellie Sparks, and she told me this story when she was a volunteer in Citizens Climate Lobby. Now she's on staff. She said, I joined Citizens Climate Lobby suffering from climate trauma. I would read Bill McKibben's book, Earth, and I would weep at home, and I would weep at work. And then I joined CCL, and 18 months later, I was co-leading a workshop on building relationships with members of Congress and editorial writers. She said some in the organization use the model of a work relationship to build a relationship. She said, this is Ellie from the book, quote, my relationship model is different. I adore romantic relationships, so I use romance as my model. That first meeting with the editorial writer, it's like a blind date, only you've decided beforehand that you're going to marry this fellow. You're going to be sweet and interesting, not too intense. If it doesn't work out with the editor, you're going to marry one of his friends at the newspaper, business editor, environment writer, city editor, someone at this paper will find you interesting and compelling. It's just a matter of being persistent until you find the right connection. I see the relationship with a member of Congress as an arranged marriage. If you live in their district, the member's aide has to meet with you. That's what our congressperson's legislative director told us in January. Since January, we've had 5 meetings with the ledge director. We schedule 45 meetings. He keeps us well over an hour. He doesn't want us to leave. Why? Because a good arranged marriage starts out cold and slowly heats up. That's different than a love match, which starts out hot and slowly cools down. Then Ellie shared the essence of transformational advocacy. During our conference, I met with 20 congressional offices. I met with many folks whose view of the world was very different than mine. Going into their offices was hard. I had to let go of a lot of emotional baggage. I could no longer hold hostility in my heart toward them. I had to let go of my fear of climate change and my fear that they wouldn't listen to me. I had to center myself in love. Releasing fear and centering in love, this is sacred and profound work. And so I'm going to pass around this sign-up sheet. If you want to join the Civic Courage mailing list, you can let me know. If you'd like help getting connected with one of these kinds of groups that works to deliver transformational advocacy, you can let me know. If you'd like to talk to your Rotary Club or your place of worship, you can also let me know. I'm going to close with a shorter quote than the one I had up there. This is Alex Steffen, who I quoted briefly earlier. Optimism is a political act. Those who benefit from the status quo are perfectly happy with a large population of people who believe nothing will get any better. In fact, these days, cynicism is obedience. What's really radical is being willing to look right at the magnitude and difficulty of the problems we face and still insist that we can solve those problems. End of quote. Thank you for your commitment. Thank you for being here. And it's an honor to talk to you. I'm going to just start passing these around for anyone who's interested.